It's time for bingo, everyone. It is time once again to get your crayon or your marker and your bingo card. You've got the instructions on the back, but real quick, let's go through them. Make sure that you circle the ones that show up, that get called, that are on your card. You have to go across or diagonal and get all of B and I and N and G and O. And once you get B, I, N, G, O, if you are one of the few fortunate people to have a winning card, then you need to post a picture of that on Instagram and use the hashtag musiclessonsinAbox in order to get the points for your winning card. But if you post your winning card super late, then there might not be any points left. So make sure that you play right away and that you post it as soon as you have a winning card. I think that's it. Did I miss anything, Kendra?
I don't think so.
Okay, good luck. The third line up on the treble clef is always a B. This half note is worth 2 beats. This rest only has one notch or one flag on it, which means that it's an 8th rest worth 1/2. Since the spaces of the treble clef spell the word face, F-A-C-E, this one is on the bottom, which makes it the F of face. Any quarter note or quarter rest is worth 1 beat. One and a half is the value of any dotted quarter note or dotted quarter rest. This note is on the space above the treble clef, making it a G. If two of the same notes have a swoopy line over or below them, that means they're tied together. You're only supposed to play the first one and just hold it out through the second one. This counts if you've got a C in the treble clef or in the bass clef. This counts as a B in the treble or the bass clef. The bottom line on the bass clef is always going to be a G. Each half note or half rest is worth 2. This dotted half rest is worth 3 beats. The top line on the treble clef is always going to be an F. The top space on the treble clef is always going to be an E. Playing a slur or playing legato is just when you connect the notes. It's a big swoopy line over several different notes. If you've got a G in the treble clef or the bass clef, this one works for that. Dynamics are just the markings that tell us how loudly or how quietly to play each note. Since this rest has 2 little flags on it, it's going to be a 16th rest worth 1/4 of a beat. Any whole note is worth 4 beats, also any whole rest. One half is the value of all 8th notes and 8th rests. Eight VA means you're supposed to play at 1 octave or 8 notes higher. This is on the first little ledger line above the bass clef, which means this is middle C. 3 is the value of any dotted half note or dotted half rest. This half note is worth 2 beats. Mezzo forte means kinda loud, because mezzo means kinda and forte means loud. The bottom line on the treble clef is always going to be an E. This counts as an A in the treble clef or the bass clef. This dotted quarter rest is worth 1.5 beats. There's the granddaddy of them all, Louis Armstrong. 4/4 time is the time signature where we can have up to 4 quarter notes in each measure. A repeat sign is 2 dots stacked on top of each other that tell you to go back and play it all again. This counts as a D in the treble or the bass clef. The second line up in the treble clef is always going to be a G. Since forte means loudly, fortissimo means really loudly. It's usually indicated with 2 F's next to each other. Anytime we have the treble clef and bass clef showing up together, it's called the grand staff. This is the great, the amazing Bach. Accent looks like a little V on its side above or below a note, and it just means to punch that one a little bit harder, make it a little bit louder. The third line up on the bass clef is always going to be a D.
A decrescendo looks like a sideways V going from the big end to the little end, showing you that you should have a lot of sound going to a little sound.
This is the great composer, Scott Joplin, sometimes classified as a classical composer, but usually classified as a jazz composer. Since the spaces of the bass clef spell the word ace, A-C-E, this is the second one up, which means it's the C of ace. That is the incredible jazz pianist Bill Evans. The fourth line on the treble clef is always going to be a D. Mezzo piano means kinda softly because mezzo means kinda and piano means softly. The time signature is what tells us how many beats are in each measure and what kind of note we're counting with. This note is on the space above the bass clef. It's one note below middle C, which means this is B. A crescendo is going to look like a big sideways V, telling you to go from a really quiet sound to a much louder sound. The treble clef is the graph for all of the higher notes. It looks like a top hat, but it's actually a half rest and it's worth 2 beats. Perhaps the most important guy in all of music, this is Mozart. It kind of looks like a B, but it's actually a flat sign. It means to play the note slightly lower. It looks like fine, but it's pronounced fine, and it means it's the end, the finish. The spaces of the treble clef spell the word face, F-A-C-E, and this is the third one up, so it is the C. This counts as an E in the treble clef or the bass clef. Accelerando means to gradually get faster. That's a treble clef sign. It's the graph for all the higher notes on the piano. An accidental is any flat or sharp or natural sign, anything telling you to play something different than what is normal for the song. That's a quarter note, which is worth 1. A bar line is an up and down, a vertical line that separates measures. That's an eighth note, which is worth 1/2. BPM stands for beats per minute, and it's the tempo marking for any metronome. That note is on a space below the treble clef, which makes it a D. This is a quarter rest, and it's worth 1. The second space up on the treble clef is an A because all the spaces spell the word face, F-A-C-E. 8VB means you're supposed to play that section 1 octave or 8 notes lower. This note is on the top line of the bass clef, which means it's an A. A measure is just a chunk of beats within a song. Most songs have at least 8 or more measures. Some of them have up to like hundreds of measures. The word piano in music means to play it softly. It's usually indicated by a single P. A repetition is any part of a song or solo where you're just repeating some little group of notes.
And that's all we're calling today for Musical Bingo, so hopefully you were a winner. If not, don't worry, there's always next month. And if you were a winner, make sure you post that right away because you want to be one of the first people and earn your points. See you next time.
Bye.